so good.
Thank you. I'm just going to show you how you go about prepping the hair for mermaid braids. I want it to be very lightweight, so I don't intend to use more than the 4 bundles. I'll start by boiling some water. And while it's boiling, I'm just going to brush through each bundle to ensure there are no tangles. So what you'll need is a bucket, a conditioner of your choice, a towel, just pour some of that conditioner into the bucket. That's how much I've got in there. Then you will pour the hot water That's how much water I've got in there. I'm just going to boil a bit more because I will need a bit more water than that. While the other water is boiling, I'm just going to use a comb to stir so that the conditioner dilutes properly. The purpose of the conditioner is to make the hair really soft and silky so that it looks and feels and moves like bundles, and also helps to keep it from tangling once you've got it braided in.
Oh, and so she waited for what seemed like an eternity and a day. But what little price to pay in order for her to slay.
Right, the water is ready. I will now dip each bundle into the bucket of water, one at a time, and being careful not to burn my fingers. As I'm bringing the hair out of the bucket, I like to use a towel to pull it so that if there's any curly bits, it straightens it out. And then you're going to lay that on a flat surface so it stays straight. This is how it looks when it's dry. It is just so easy to brush through. And it just moves like bundles. Stiff wear, honey. Okay, this took way too long. I am not going to blow dry all of them. So what I'll do is I'm going to put the other ones out to dry while I start braiding my hair. And hopefully they will be semi-dry by the time I'm done using this first bundle. And then I can then dry off the rest. This took way too long. So I'm going to go ahead and put it out to dry. And then I will begin the braiding process.
Okay, so I decided to do medium knotless mermaid or boho braids. And basically I have gone and sectioned my hair at the nape area into 2 rows. The nape is just basically the top of your ear all the way down to your neck. And for medium braids, I follow this braiding chart that I found on Pinterest. And that first row consists of 4 braids, and the one after that is 5 braids. I will try to link that chart so that you can have a look and see exactly what I'm doing in case you want to do this on yourself, or if you'll be requesting this from your braider so they know exactly what you want. Now, for each braid, this is how much hair I'll be using. Basically, only those two pieces. It is really difficult to explain to a person that doesn't know how to braid or is braiding their own hair how to knotless braid. So I would just maybe encourage you to slow down this video and watch carefully what I'm doing with my fingers and with my hands. So I braid once with my natural hair, and then I begin to feed in the braiding hair like so. I would then add the second piece of hair and carry over the rest of the hair, of the braiding hair, like so. And then braid all the way till where I would like to stop. There's no rule for this bit. If you're doing this on yourself and you'd like to save some time, I would actually recommend you to just braid slightly past where your hair ends and knot it there. But I wanted the curls to be a bit lower at the back just to avoid too much tangling at because if you've ever worn any sort of extensions or whatever, you know that the nape area is where it tangles the most. So you want to braid the nape area down, as far down, I would say probably till about your past your shoulders, mid back, and then stop there just for the nape area, and then the rest of them you can stop where your hair ends or till where you prefer. Really, it comes down to personal preference. Okay, so once you get to the point where you're happy to stop, you would then take a tiny piece of the braiding hair, as small as possible, and do 2 or 3 knots tightly to secure that in place. If you'd like to go the extra mile, you can, because I'm going to be curling this later. I know that the knot is going to stay in, but if you're going to keep this straight to avoid the knot coming out, I would go further and just dab a little bit of nail glue on the knot so that it doesn't unravel. Okay, so this is the nape area done, the 2 rows done. At this point, I have 9 braids. I will not be leaving any pieces out at that point, like I said. So now fast forward to the 3rd row, and I'll begin to show you now how I leave out the pieces. So we're just going to braid as normal, adding the pieces as we go. And if you would like less of your scalp showing, I would leave out a piece as close as possible to the scalp. But if you're not so concerned about your scalp showing, then you can braid down a bit further and then begin to pull out tiny pieces of braiding hair and leaving them out. Okay, like here. I take out a tiny piece. I know it's not hygienic to be putting braiding hair in your mouth. It's not really in my mouth. It's just being held together by with my lips. I just don't have the time to be stopping and clipping the hair away and then continue. So this is quite convenient. And so I think I end up leaving like 2 pieces out per braid. and just leaving enough distance between each to get like a I almost say tea tree, like a tree braid effect, but not as many pieces left out as a tree braid. Okay, I'm happy with the 2 pieces left out. I'm just gonna braid down till I get to the point that like the rest of the other braids, and then tie off the ends like so. 2 to 3 times is enough, and that's what I'll be doing throughout till I get to the very top. So I'm just going to speed through this bit because it's just a lot of repetition basically, and you guys can see what I am doing. So essentially, it's really important that depending on the look that you want, okay, let me rephrase that. So, how many pieces of hair you leave out is dependent on the look that you're after. If you want a very full look where you can barely see the braids, then you'll leave out a lot more pieces. And meaning that you'd probably have to feed in more pieces of braids. But if you want the hair a lot more light, not too many curls, then you leave out just 1 or 2 pieces, or 1 or 2 pieces of braiding hair as you're braiding down. I hope that makes sense. So it really just comes down to your personal preference of how voluminous you would like the end result to look. Okay, so this is what it looks like once it is all done. I personally do not like straight hair. I just find it to be just very flat and boring. So that is the reason why I am going to go ahead and curl this. But if you do like the straight look, this is what it looks like. Just modeling a bit for you just to give you an idea of what it would look like wearing it straight, but not for me. Now, here's how you go about curling the braids. There are 2 ways you can do this. You could use a hair steamer, or you could just use boiling water, and I would recommend adding some conditioner to the water like we did to curl to straighten the hair. But since we are curling it, I'm adding some mousse to give it some hold. That is how much mousse I use. You can use any mousse of your choice. It doesn't have to be a specific brand. Any cheap mousse will do. Don't go using your expensive products on this. It's just plastic hair, really. So I'm just working the mousse through the braids, and then I will then proceed to create a 3-strand braid. So basically what I've done is section the hair into 4. So I'm going to do 4 braids, 4 plaits. And then I will steam each plait. If you don't have a steamer, like I said, just use boiling water instead, but be very careful not to burn yourself because you have to take it pretty high up. So I have more control with the steamer. And the other reason I really like using a steamer is I'm not a very patient person, so I don't like waiting for the hair to completely dry before I take it down, because when you dip it into hot water, you need to wait for it to dry completely before you take it down. Okay, so avoid taking it down before it has dried up because the curls will drop as it dries. Okay, so if you want the curls to be very defined, like very curly, then wait till it dries completely. But if you would like the curls to be perhaps a bit looser, then don't wait for it to dry completely. Dip it into hot water, towel dry it, undo it, and you will get sort of like a loose wave, no, or like a tight wave instead of a tight curl. Okay, so I'm just going over each braid with the steamer, ensuring that it gets through to every strand, and basically the steamer is going to be creating the curl and drying it at the same time. So the hair is not gonna need to dry afterwards. Sorry if I'm repeating myself. So I'm just topping up the steamer at this point and going over the hair again. Once I'm done, I'm going to just carefully undo each section. As you can see, oh, it's giving, it's giving. Um, Maybe apply a bit of oil in your hands while you're doing this to avoid frizz. And this is the final look, guys. Let me know if you prefer it straight or curly, or in this, I think this is like a deep wave, right? And thank you for watching. See you in the next video.